Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today we're going to be taking another look at Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, the Partworks magazine from Hachette Publishing in association with Games Workshop. And today we're going to be looking at 2 issues. It is a double whammy. Why are we looking at 2 issues? Because issues 24 and 25 both cover the same product. They both cover the Redemptor dreadnought, which splits the kit over 2 issues. Now, splitting up a kit isn't something new for Partworks magazines. It's something that happens quite a lot, but it is the first time that it's happened with Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine. It will not be the last time. There is a Rhino and a few other things that are coming up later on, which will probably also be split up over multiple issues. But this is the first example of this. So let us take a look first at the miniature. Now, in issue 24, you got the base and this frame. Look, it's got 1 foot, just 1 foot, half a gun and a bit of an arm, and the front of the carapace. So that's all you got with issue 24. And then when issue 25 came along, luckily I got both my issues at the same time, because I get them in batches of 4 because I'm a subscriber. Once a month I get 4 issues. For other people who get it on a weekly basis, have to go down to their local news agents or whatever, this is a little bit more annoying. But not for me, it was fine for me. This is the second frame, or the second 2 frames, which completes the Redemptor dreadnought. Now, Redemptor dreadnought, this is basically one of the new Primaris dreadnoughts, which are bigger, better, badder, faster, stronger. We can rebuild them, we can make them better. This is the new Primaris dreadnought, which is uber duper better, uber duper better than anything that's come before it, apparently. And this is actually one of the easy build kits that Games Workshop have been doing recently. So it is a push fit kit, goes together without glue, and actually has arms that you can detach, I believe, so that you can pop them off. There are no weapon options or anything because it's an easy build kit. You basically have the Mahusive Gatling gun and a power fist with a flamer on it. So those are your options. It's basically infantry. This is an anti-infantry build with mass fire from Gatling gun, close range flaming, and a bit of punchiness for, you know, anything that's a little bit bigger coming along. I'm quite pleased to have this. I don't have any dreadnoughts, except for I do have a single Contemptor dreadnought from Betrayal at Calth, which is the old sort of pre-heresy type dreadnought. But yeah, this is the first sort of more modern era model. And it looks quite nice. It's big. Obviously everything Primaris is big, so it's quite a chunky kit. It retails for £25, and like I say, this is one of the easy build kits. Yeah, it retails for £25. The Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine retails for £7.99 an issue, so you're basically paying £15.98 to get a £25 frame. So that's a saving of £9 and 2p. £9 and 2p. Yes. I'm just doing my maths in my head. Yeah, £9 and 2p. So it's a pretty good saving over buying it at retail. That's £25 if you purchase it direct from Games Workshop or a store that doesn't offer any kind of discount. You can get it a little bit cheaper online. You can probably get maybe 15-20% off from certain retailers. 10% is pretty standard from a lot of places. So it is possible to get it a bit cheaper. But even so, even having it split across 2 issues, which I'm not 100% sure why they chose to do it with this particular product, when they have put £25 kits on previous products. They put Lord Felthius in a single issue. So I think it's more to do with how they wanted to split the content up in the magazine rather than necessarily it being necessary to split up the kit, if you see what I mean. It's a way of splitting up a lot of content relating to the dreadnought that they couldn't fit into a single issue, and also obviously disperses their costs more so than something that was it wasn't a necessity, let's say. The only thing it's a little bit disappointing is there is no transfer kit. If you buy this kit from retail, you will get a transfer sheet. You will get a vehicle transfer kit, and that seems like an oversight not to include it here, especially as they're splitting up content over 2 issues. It seems to me like in the second issue would have been a perfect opportunity to introduce the concept of transfers and applying transfers to miniatures, which kind of like they've been doing basic painting techniques and things like that, and it probably is time for them to start looking at slightly more complicated painting techniques and also other ways to enhance a miniature, and using transfers is a good way of doing that, and it's something that does require a little bit of know-how. You can't just sort of cut out a transfer and stick it on a miniature. It's nice to have a little bit of guidance. This magazine would be the perfect place to put that guidance. So it is a bit disappointing it's not there. I would assume that maybe they will put a vehicle transfer sheet later on down the line once they've got a few more Space Marine vehicles out. There's definitely a couple more vehicles coming down the line, so maybe a bit further down the line they will give out a transfer sheet so that you can go back and add them. But for the time being, if you haven't developed any cool freehand styles, then you are going to be having a dreadnought that doesn't have any particular insignias and things on it above and beyond what is obviously molded onto the miniature. But anyway, it's a pretty decent miniature with a pretty decent saving. I am looking forward to putting it together because, like I say, I don't have a redemptor dreadnought, so something new for me. Here are the magazines. So first we have issue 24. So remember, this came with the single frame and the base. And you can learn about dreadnoughts. There they are. Dreadnoughts are one of those things that their fluff, to me, doesn't seem to marry up with the reality of them in the game. I mean, how often do you see a Space Marine army that doesn't have dreadnoughts in it? Yet, you know, they're supposed to be these things that have lived for centuries, and they only come out in the rarest of occasions when they're really needed, and they're tough as nails, and yet in the game, you know, you usually have a couple of them stomping around and they get blown up. But that's cool. That's what happens with between fluff and game. So we've got venerable dreadnoughts. They're the ones that are really old, and then we've got redemptor dreadnoughts. This is what we've got in the magazine. A Primaris dreadnought. And here we go. This is Games Workshop make a Primaris dreadnought which isn't easy build. They've given us the easy build one, which is this guy here. But yeah, you can get one that isn't easy build, which I'm assuming that's where this armament has come from, because this is the armament we get with the Gatling gun and the flamer and the power fist. But this is an anti-armor setup with a plasma gun, a little Gatling gun on the fist, and obviously power fist. And then we've got the Death Guard version with all the glorious gooiness that the Death Guard bring. These are Hellbrutes. It's basically like some poor schmuck encased in a combination of flesh and armour. Usually stuck in there because they've done something that has not pleased Papa Nurgle in some way. So he's been stuck in there instead. Oh, and there's Hellbrutes for different chaotic factions. Cool. Baal is under siege. And then we've got our thing here. Obviously, they're giving you the how to build instructions, but at the point you have this magazine, you only have this frame here. Your Redemptor Dreadnought comes in on 2 sprues. You've only received 1 sprue. You will receive the second issue with issue 25. Wait until you have both sprues to build it. Yeah, because you won't get far with just the one frame you've got. Clip of safety. And yeah, nice, very simple, easy build guide. Gun is in 2 parts. The other arm is in 2 parts. They go together. The body goes together in 2 sections. Put the armor carapace on the front. Legs, 2 sections, 2 feet. Stick it all together. Nice and straightforward. Shouldn't have any trouble with that. And then we've got some stuff about Corvon 2, and we have another mission, an infiltration mission. This mission is designed to play quickly and to be replayed multiple times. Forces are randomly determined using the tables on the reverse of this page. This is interesting. They're doing something a little bit new with the setup for a battle. Make sure you record the result, as it could affect whether Reavers deploy in the second mission. Alright, so okay, we've got like almost like a mini campaign. In the setup section here, you're rolling a D3, so you could have anything from 1 Plague Marine with 6 Poxwalkers up to 3 Plague Marines with 12 Poxwalkers. Seems a little bit unfair. And the Reavers are either going to be 3 Reavers, 4 Reavers, or 6 Reavers. So there could be some seriously one-sided battles going on there, but the Reavers appear to be trying to sneak. They probably want to avoid combat as much as possible, because those Plague Marines are going to do the nasty on them. Then we've got a Search the City mission and an Exfiltration mission, and this is the second part of this mini campaign. Cool stuff. Okie dokie, and that's it. That's the whole issue. And then obviously on the back of the issue, they tell you that you're going to get your next magazine with the other half of your dreadnought, and then after that you're going to get. It's been pretty exciting getting a dreadnought. What's going to come next? It is paint and more Abaddon Black. Anyway, issue 25. So this is when you complete the other half of your dreadnought. And over here, oh look, Contemptor Dreadnought. This is the much maligned Contemptor Dreadnought miniature from Betrayal at Calth. A lot of people didn't like it. It's very static. I actually quite like it. There's something about the very static pose that makes it feel a little bit archaic, a little more old world, little clunkier. It's kind of got a almost sort of Ray Harryhausen type stance to it. You can imagine that moving in stop motion animation. And that's so I quite liked it. I quite liked it, but yeah, I think a lot of people weren't too keen on that particular miniature. Got ironclads, stuff about dreadnought weapons, as you would expect, more dreadnoughty stuff. Disciples of Decay. And then we've got the painting guide. So how many paints are we using here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paints. So yeah, they've based it in Macrack Blue, and then we're away. So you've got Abaddon Black, Lead Belcher, Retributor Armor, Null Oil, and Agrax Earthshade, obviously, for the definition. It's all pretty straightforward. Again, they do a good job with these painting guides, and by splitting this content over 2 magazines, they've been able to go a little bit more in depth and detail. I think there seems to be a few more images and things. Obviously, it's a bigger painting project, painting a dreadnought, so it's good to have as much guidance as possible. Adding Mephiston Red and Rakath Flesh. And then, oh, that's interesting. They have included a way of painting the Mechanicus icon. That's a slightly more advanced technique than most of what you get in these painting guides. Most of these painting guides are about applying clean layers of paint and then applying washes to get good tabletop standard miniatures quickly. But this is kind of gone. It's not a major step forward, but it is a little step further towards a slightly more complicated painting process, just because of having to keep keep that neatened up and get those two edges. And it's quite an effective design. And then Astro Granite. And this is something they've been doing recently, where they show the finished miniatures from the front and the back, and in this case the sides as well, just so you can have a good look at your miniature, what you've done, compare it to this, and see if you've missed any bits or whatever. And again, it's a nice clean paint job, but it's obviously, you can see over the page here, you can see a model that's been taken stages further. It's got edge highlights on the, let's see if I can get that to come out on the camera for you. You can see the edge highlights on the carapace and things like that. It's obviously more advanced techniques, and iconography, which would come from either freehand painting or from a transfer sheet. I have to say, at this point, it would have been nice, I think. Like I say, at this point, it would have been nice to have had stuff about transfers. They could have put a couple of pages in here about applying transfers just to take this model another step forwards, another step on, because all of these painting guides are pretty much, they're really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the painting guides. I think they're doing a really good job of showing you how to get tabletop ready miniatures. But I think it would also be quite nice to kind of maybe just show things going on an extra step. So applying transfers here maybe, or maybe just talking about edge highlighting. The dreadnought is a very blocky, boxy thing. It's a good miniature to kind of start introducing concepts like edge highlighting, because you've got big surface areas, big well-defined edges. It just seems like that would be this would be an opportunity to do that, but they haven't done that. They've taken it to the same standard, which is a very good tabletop standard. I recently followed through one of their painting guides for the Battlefield accessory set on my 10 paints or less series that I'm running, and I think the results were pretty good. I did add a few extra little details, but nothing major, and I think the results were very good. So I do think that the painting guides in this magazine are good, but I do think that maybe they're hitting a wall where each new miniature, they show you how to paint it to the same standard. And it might be nice just to introduce some new concepts, some new techniques and things like that. But there we go. That's just me. I still think that, you know, if you can get a dreadnought from 2 issues of a magazine at a good price, get it painted up with the paints that they've already provided for you in previous issues, and you can get that standard, then that's great. You're doing brilliantly. I still think the magazine does a very good job of what it's doing. But there must be people who have painted their dreadnought to that standard and are now looking at this one going, well, how do I get to that? How do I get to that next stage? Which obviously that's many, many steps down the road still to get to that professional standard of quality, but extra steps maybe. Something to introduce later on maybe. And then we've got the new rule concept of a changing data sheet, because this is the case with several large creatures and units and things like that, is as they take damage, their stats change. So in this case, as the Redemptor takes damage, his movement, weapon skill and ballistic skill will change, and we've got this chart here that shows, and here we can see that movement, ballistic skill and weapon skill are in a different order to movement, weapon skill and ballistic skill here, and that is sloppy. As it happens, in this case, it doesn't matter, because the ballistic skill and weapon skill are changing the same. It's 3+, and then 4+, and 5+, so it doesn't really matter which way around it goes. But if those values were different, there are going to be some people who question whether they've been accidentally reversed there, and whether they should be the other way around. That should be consistent. Movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill, movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill. That's a bit of sloppiness on the part of the editing there, in my mind. But then, you know, my mind's full of nonsense. So what do I know? There's stuff about, this is a continuation of the rules and explaining how, as you take damage, your dreadnought gets worse. And then we have the data sheet, which again, we have weapon skill, ballistic skill, but then ballistic skill, weapon skill over there. I can't imagine that's like that in the Codex. I've not seen the Dreadnought data card, an official one from Codex, so maybe it's the same. Maybe that's just the way it is, but It certainly looks wrong to me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm talking rubbish. And yeah, blank page on the back. I know it's a waste of a page in some regards, but I do like the fact that they keep it blank on the back so you can just pull this data sheet out. You can use it in your games and you're not losing any magazine content. And then we've got a mission. The Fury Unleashed. Release the Dreadnought. Might versus Blight. Yeah. Good fun. Redemptor Dreadnought and some Intercessors. Wailing on some Plague Marines and a Mephitic Blight Hauler. And that's it. That is all of it. And as we know, next issue we're getting paints. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but I will talk about that next time. And then after that, if the Ultramarines are going to bring a Dreadnought to the party, the Death Guard are going to bring a Rhino. So again, this will be a kit that's split over several issues. But we will be getting the first section of our Rhino in issue 27. Again, that's all talk for another time. As always, right about now, I'm going to put up a pricing structure thing, which will compare the price of buying these two magazines against the price of buying the kits at retail, and also running totals for everything we've paid so far as a subscriber to the magazine versus what you would pay if you bought everything that you get with the magazines at retail, which hopefully some people will find useful. But that is it for me for now, from this massive double issue of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine. I hope it's been of interest to some people. Do feel free to leave your comments and queries down below. I will do my best to respond to everybody, as I always try to. And that is it from me. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.